Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 21 of The Hard Truth Inside the Football Industry podcast with me, Philip Heidson, and Darren McAnthony, Chairman and Co-owner of English Championship side, Peterborough United. We are also joined. Now, what did I do there? I'm going to start again.
Right, no, you don't have to start again. After Saturday, that's probably about right. Champion shite, you know what I mean? Leave that exactly how it was, Phil.
See, I'm so focused on Adrian and introducing Adrian, so I'll also introduce Adrian, Adrian Durham from talkSPORT and Peterborough United supporter. I think we're welcoming you, first of all, to the pod, Adrian.
So were you calling me shite? It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honour to be here. And actually, I do listen to the pod every week. And I have to say, it does make me chuckle because, Philip, you'll be so calm and controlling everything and so laid back. And then all of a sudden, there's a massive outburst, a machine gun of expletives. And there's Darren McAnthony doing what he does best. But I have to say, last week really made me laugh. I was actually driving while I was listening to it. And when you said, Darren, that some of the players need to wake up and snap out of it, it was just the way you said it. I thought, geez, if I was one of the players listening to this, and you know they all listen to it, then I'd be waking up and snapping out of it. But then Saturday happened, so there you go.
I'm going to shut my mouth from now on.
So, Darren, talk us through Saturday then.
Look, I mean, the thing about this pod is we always want to be honest, transparent. There's no bullshit. We're not editing any of this. Aid said to me at the start, because he's a professional, he said, look, I'm going to talk about Posh. I'm going to be really honest. That's why I love listening to talkSPORT. I've always enjoyed it, even when we didn't speak for a year. Him and Goffey were always great entertainment because it's not edited or held back. It's you know, Adrian's one of them guys, probably why he's so successful. He just says it what he thinks. He's not there to appease people. He's not there to be popular. And if he thinks something about one club, he's just going to tell you. And I'm a bit like that, you know that, and whatever else. So, and sometimes probably detrimental. People probably think, well, geez, you know, you must be a tough guy to work for. Adrian just said the players must listen to the podcast. Look, what I say on here is what I say to the players. You know, the players know me. You know, I'm at the training ground. Tomorrow I'm there for the under-18 game for the youth. We're playing Forest in the FA Cup. And I've invited all the players for dinner and to watch the game because I want them all there tomorrow night. And, you know, I'll always be really, really honest with every, you know, pre-season, during the season, players can, it's not ring me about football, but if they've got problems off the pitch, whatever, they know I'm that type of chairman. I'm always going to give them honest advice. And they mightn't always like what I say. So you're asking me about Saturday. Here's the honest truth about Saturday. The hard truth is you want to talk about it. I was envious. And I don't like being envious. You know, I say to my kids and I say to people about my success in life, growing up in Marbella, Spain, I was never a jealous person. I would look at people with nice cars in an envious way. I would look at successful people in real estate in an envious way. Geez, they're doing great. They're killing it. I've never been jealous of someone's success. I enjoy other people's success, but I can be envious. It's okay to be envious, by the way. That's not a poisonous word, you know, and I've always lived by that trait that, hey, you've got that. You've done fucking brilliant. Really envious. Wish I could do that. Maybe I'll aim for that. So I've been like that my whole life. And I sat down Saturday and I watched the team, Coventry. And I'm not saying we're the size of Coventry, but when you look at the trajectory the last few years where they've come from, relegated to League Two, won the EFL Cup, bounced back, you know, limited budget. I remember back in League One when they first got back there, their chief exec saying to Barry, look, our limit's $2,500 a week. They were trying to take one of our players. I think it was Boswick at the time. And they couldn't do the deal because their wage limit was here. I think Bozzy was on a bit more. And they've put together a really, really good, you know, club the last 3-4 years. Forget about what's going on off the pitch, the stadium and the owner and the issues with the fund or the fans, how they feel about her. The people running the actual football side have done really, really well the last few years. And it's a credit to them. And I'm sat there and I was envious on Saturday. I was envious that they were fitter than us. They were more physical than us. More importantly, they were technically better than us. And I'm sitting there watching this. We got out coached, we got outplayed. And I'm speaking to my gaffer today. And I'm always honest with him. I tell him that anyway. Do you know what I mean? That, you know, I'm not saying Mark Robbins is a better manager than Darren Ferguson. He's not. But at the moment, he's getting a tune out of his team. Now, the way I'd look at that is last year he didn't for a good 3 or 4 months in the championship, but they caught on and they got to grips with it and they stayed in the league. And then this year is a byproduct of them coming through that shit last year. And I don't want Alan Swan listening to this because he's obviously, you know, he's taking a few pops at me and rightly so at the moment. and the headline being outcoached, outplayed, and trying to create a gulf between me and Darren. There is no issue between me and the gaff. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't come into it, and he might not like what I say. So I'm sat there watching, and I'm envious, and I'm frustrated, and I'm irritated because 2 quick goals, mistakes on our part. Whoever you want to blame, goalkeeper, whatever. First 2 goals shouldn't have been goals. And we keep shooting ourselves in the foot, and it's driving me fucking mad because there's half a season left. The teams around us keep giving us a chance, and we keep taking the gun, playing Russian roulette, and just fucking every time hitting ourselves with the one bullet in the 8-chamber shaft. And Adrian would probably agree with me there. And I'm watching it going, okay, you know what? We're in this game. We score a goal. It's 2-1. You're expecting, we've come from behind this season. This is it now in the second half. Our players have to come out, and we've got to put them under. And we've got to really have a go at them. We're attacking our favourite end, second half. The lights are on. The players have really got to respond. And no, there was no response. I think their goalie probably could have gone on holiday in the second half. We didn't have that response you'd want when you're behind at home and you're fighting for your lives. So that was probably the most frustrating 45 minutes. And it was the way Coventry just picked us off on the counter-attack technically. It was just so easy. But reverse it, when we're on the counter and we're in those spaces, we can't find a 10-yard pass. We can't put a cross in the box. We can't get a shot on target. All the things they're doing, we're doing the opposite. And I guess that's lack of confidence, lack of form, lack of whatever you want to call it. And I'm looking at it going, is our player better than that player? Is their player better than that? We've got good footballers. Adrian's a football guy. He sees it. He knows we've got good players, but they're way below their own standards. They're not, I know this sounds mental after getting dicked 4-1 at home. They're not as bad as you're seeing in the results. If you look at our players, you're telling me that because some of the fans, league, non-league, League Two, now hang on a second. We absolutely dominated League One last year and should have won the league. And lost some key players like Jack Taylor for 6 games at key times. We would have won that league. And a lot of these players are the same guys who scored 60-odd goals in that league. And if you're telling me, your Blackpools, your whatever else who come up are better than our players now, they're not. We're just not at the races. Our players, we're not getting the tune out of them at the moment. And that's down to the players. It's down to the management. That's down to me. Responsibility goes from the top. So you can call it bad ownership, bad management, bad playing. That's where we are. But you know what? We're not 15 points out of it. We need to come together. And together is the right word. And we have to give it everything we've got. And we can point fingers later. If people want to have a go at me about recruitment and have a go about whatever else and talk about, well, we should have paid 15 grand a week or we should have paid 10 grand a week. We should have brought more experience in. We shouldn't have spent £1 million on Joel Randall and da-da-da-da-da. Fine. There's a time and a place to finger point, and that can be in the summer. I'll take that in the chin. Not a problem at all. But right now, we've got 22 games to basically, every last inch we've got to take out of this and give it our best shot. But what we saw on Saturday, that's not going to cut the mustard because we'll be done and dusted by mid-February. So our players are aware of that. I'm aware of that. Our fans are well aware of that. And that's how I felt about Saturday. So, Adrian, I this is your chance to be honest about things. No, seriously, and say whether anything I've just said there is incorrect.
Well, I think you're incorrect in saying that the time for finger pointing is in the summer because the window's open right now. So you can actually, without saying, oh, it's his fault, it's trying to put right what's wrong. So you're right. Some of the players are brilliant. So Callum O'Hare for Coventry, I thought he's a magnificent footballer. They've plucked him from Villa, maybe a little bit lucky to get him from Villa, but they've got him and they're using him and he's playing brilliantly. I don't think he's necessarily any better than Sammy Smodic. So why isn't Sammy doing what Callum O'Hare's doing in the Championship? I look at the players around him. So you've got some good players. Smodics is one. Ronnie Edwards clearly another. But Ronnie, if we're playing 3 at the back, is playing alongside, or has been playing alongside, Beavers and Thompson. Now, at the start of the season, I'm talking to ex-pros and pundits, and they're telling me we cannot go with Beavers and Thompson in the Championship. They knew it. I was fearing it. We get to the season start. We haven't got a fit striker. I don't think we've had a fit striker all season. We haven't rectified that. We started with Pim. He's no longer the goalie. We started with Beavers, not just as centre-half, but as captain. He's no longer going to be playing, I don't think. And now it feels to me, unless something happens in the next couple of weeks of the window, it feels like we're relying on Jack Marriott getting back, staying fit and scoring 10 goals between now and May. Otherwise, we're going back down to League One. And I feel a bit for some of the players because I do think that they are good enough, but I think that they've been let down by some of the other players around them. I will point out as well, the away fans for Posh, among the best I've ever seen. They're fantastic. Home fans, it's always been apathetic and quiet. Now, when some of those fans started having a go at Dan Butler when he got injured, I think the morale of the players was sapped. I think they all thought to themselves, look what we did last season. Dan was part of that.
Yeah.
And now we need encouraging, and they're having a
Sure.
pop at a
Sure.
player who's got injured and is out for the season. I think the fans let the players down a little bit there. So it's time to draw a line under all that, rectify the problems within the team. But I'm fearing the worst. I think when I look at Derby and the points they're picking up, I think they could even finish above us. We just keep shipping goals and we aren't scoring them. I love Darren Ferguson's philosophy, and I don't want him sacked. I want him to go back to that philosophy of scoring more than them.
I agree.
But we aren't scoring goals at the moment, and that's another issue with the fit striker thing. Was Clark Harris really the answer in the Championship? I don't know. We still don't know, do we? But he's not as mobile as Tony was.
Sure.
And I think that there's a possible question there as well. When we went down before, the big issue was not a free kick at Crystal Palace. It wasn't being 2-1 up and losing. It was losing the first 7 games of the season. We were not ready for the start of the season, and I feel that this season was exactly the same. So when we got promoted, I celebrated, had a bottle of champagne, and I said, right, we need to be ready for the start of the season, and we weren't. So I think that's probably the reason why we're going to go down.
Okay, listen, no, fair dues, and I can take all of that in the chin. And look, I've addressed some of the stuff on the podcast, but I'll do it in a quick summary. Could we have prepared better in the summer? You're absolutely right. From not being able to go away pre-season, all the things that were going on, that was an issue. However, I felt with what we had in the building and the momentum we had and everything else, that it was surgical what we needed, and it wasn't, revolutionary. We needed like a few key pieces, and it's so difficult in this league. It's nearly impossible. I was explaining this the other night. I was having a conference call with Canada, and you're talking about bringing players to our club. In the summer, all we heard from lots of players was, well, no, you're going to be gone down. We don't want to come. And I'm not trying to make excuses. It's not like I didn't try and sign certain players in the summertime. We did. I was in Dubai for a couple of weeks. Every day I was trying. It was Zoom calls. It was conferences. It was within our realms of our possibility without getting silly. I was doing my best. And it kept coming back to player doesn't. It's really funny, Adrian. When we're at the top of League One trying to win a title, players will come to you. When you go into a league like the Championship, they didn't want to come. Because it's like, no, you're going to be fighting like a dogfight. Don't want to be attached to a relegation on the CV. Don't really want to go there. Don't fancy it. So we always knew the battle was get over year one and try and stay in the league. And then recruiting those players would be a little bit easier the next year. And then obviously it goes with it's the finance side of things, and the expectation, the wages, everything goes up when you're in this league. So it's been a struggle on that front. It's not been perfect. But at the same time, the injuries have killed us as well. And that's really irritated the life out of me. And you're right. You can't rely on Jack Marriott coming in and scoring 10 and 20, But the other thing you'd say as well is the style of football. Yeah, we want to score more goals than the opposition. That's always been our mantra. I'm big in the analytics. If the amount of chances we've missed, and the players have missed these chances, and I'm not having a pop at your Sammys or whoever else. The chances missed have been incredible. I mean, and you're not telling me a player who can score 20 goals in League One from, everyone was talking about, well, Sammy Schmolix isn't a striker. And I was nearly going to say from January to the end of December in 2020, he scored 20 goals. 20 goals. What is he? If he's not a striker, what is he? He's not a number 10. With all due respect to him, technically, not good enough to be a number 10. Do you know what I mean? But because assist doesn't really his thing. If you look at his record through his career, it's goals. Not a big assist maker. And a number 10, like your O'Hare, creates goals. O'Hare doesn't score a lot of goals. So you look at that and go, Sammy's a secondary striker. And you want him to step up and do well. And he scores 2 against Bristol, and you think, we're all for the races here. He's, I love the kid because of the work ethic he gives you. But it hasn't quite happened. Then you go, okay, Dembele, he's a secondary striker. He scored 4 match winners. Do you know what I mean? Why he's been there? But again, doesn't score enough. Should have 10 league goals. He's on 4 or 5 or whatever else. Then you go to Jono, best player in League One, Golden Boot. Can he step up to the champ? Well, you've got to give him the opportunity. He's got us back to the champ. He's done something with balls of steel in the 95th minute. Neither me or you wanted to step up and do. At that stage, he's got us there. He's at the season of his life. Could you sell him in the summer and move on from him? If you've been really harsh and ruthless, of course you could. But I think he deserved an opportunity, and I'm not ready to give up on him. There was stuff from our fans on Saturday saying he told someone outside the club that we don't want him at the club. I spoke to him yesterday. Did you say that to a fan? He's like, don't know what they're talking about. I've never been that unprofessional. He never has been. He's always been that professional. Even when he's come off the bench, he's done an interview talking about his teammates. Other players will trudge off the pitch and throw temper tantrums. He's not that type of guy. He's actually a good character. And no, I don't want him out of the football club. Shit like that doesn't help. But at the same time, he has to help himself. Jono is playing way below his own standard. And he came into the summer not in the best condition. You have to ask him why. This was his opportunity. But he still has that opportunity. He still has 22 games to show everyone he can be a championship striker. If he scores 8-9 goals in those games, he'll end up with 12 or 13 goals in the championship for playing 30-odd games. That tells everyone he can play in the championship. But he's got to do that himself. I can't go out and train with him every day. He's got to be in the best condition.
I think he is capable. I was at the Huddersfield game when he buried the header for the equaliser. That's what he can do. But we haven't seen enough of that. And
no, we haven't.
Down at the bottom, there's all sorts of gossip and rumours that just have to be squashed. But I think the gulf, I don't know if you agree with this, but I think the gulf between Championship and League One is bigger than it's ever been. I think it's way bigger than when we were relegated before. We were relegated, yes, with 54 points, but relegated with some amazing players. Lee Tomlin, George Boyd played for most of that season. Zaquani at the back, a leader. Charlie Lee played anywhere, was a leader. You're talking about some really good players that were relegated. So I'm thinking to myself, are the players we've got now on that level? And I'm not sure they are. So if they are, they haven't shown it. With Dembele's a really interesting one because he's clearly talented. He has scored match winners. You're spot on. Yeah. But the amount of times he gives the ball away in our half, in our own half, it's game
frustrates the life out of you. Yeah, frustrates the life out of you. And look, it's probably why he hasn't had an £8-9 million move yet. But people forget, and this is where I'll defend my players. Dems 4 years ago was in the Nike Academy. Sometimes it's a bit like a Vardy at 27 suddenly getting into the league and taking off. Sometimes you're a late bloomer. And I think Dems is 25. And I don't think the EFL's seen the best of him. And I think also he classes himself as a winger. Not many people, I keep telling them, stop saying that, because a lot of top teams don't play with wingers. You class yourself as a winger, no one's ever going to fucking sign you. You're not a winger. Nowadays, you have to be a modern footballer. You have to be able to play in a 4-2-3-1, a 4-3-3, a 4-5-1, but you're not a fucking winger. So, the old days of wingers with the old chalk on their boots, or they're from the sideline, it's not around for a lot of time, unless you're Burnley. You know what I mean? So, I love them, but you're absolutely right. And he could be a lot better. But so many players have been below their standards. I was hoping for a big season from JT, and I still think hopefully we can get that out of him because he's a wonderful player. And I just think they're playing within themselves, and there's a lack of confidence. And it's easy to pile on, and I don't want to pile on. And I'm not ready to say we're done. And I know a lot of people think we're done. I know they do. 3 points out of it or whatever we are, people think, now we're done. I go the other way. Because I've been here before in football where you just get kicked in the nuts. It looks like you'll never win another game. Coventry come into our place, absolutely humiliate us the way they played. And you're thinking, where do we go from here? Well, it's West Brom next. So and after that, Sheffield United next or Fulham next. But these are the games you want to play. So our players, look, they have to get their act together. That's on them. That's on the manager. You know what I mean? I don't coach. I can't go out and put my boots on and play. I'll do my best. Can I bring players in that will make a massive difference and shoot us up the league? No, it's impossible. They don't want to come. And I'll give you an example. We did a deal for a left back last week, and he's in the Premier League, and he's been on the bench, and everything was great. The club was good with us. We did the deal. It's done. And then the player gets told, look, you're no longer in our plans for the rest of the season in the Premier League. We want you to go to Peterborough and play in the Championship. No, fuck about it. I'm not going to Peterborough. Okay, I'm back to square one. I can't go out and buy a left back because the ones I'd like, no one wants to sell them because they're in promotion winning sides at the moment lower down the league. Okay, so it's kind of like that. You go to strikers. You talk about you want to try out some names. You want to try out an Andre Gray. You want to try out Nakti Wells, a Lyle Taylor. Well, that's all great and well, but they're on like 20-odd grand a week, and they don't want to come to our club. So you're between the lines. Okay, what's plan B? What's plan C? It's very, very different. And this isn't me making excuses. Buck stops with me. We're here because of me, you can say, whatever. But it's difficult to do those deals.
What I will say is that I think I'm slightly different to those who are so desperate to do well in the Championship, even get into the Premier League. In that, I was there throughout the 80s. I used to stand on the glebe, which is now the South Stands. It was a completely open terrace, so when it rained, you got completely drenched, absolutely pissed on. And we were in Division 4 for all of that decade. That was my growing up period with Peterborough United. Now, so anything remotely like promotion or a win at Wembley, and I'm in heaven. And yeah, sure, I moan when we lose. I moan when we get relegated.
We're football fans. Yeah.
I moan when you sell our top scorer in January when we're heading for promotion, for God's sakes, which is why we fell out for a year. But anyway. But I have a more philosophical view of it. And I'll tell you when this all started. In the 80s, we were playing Exeter at home and we were 2-1 down and it started chucking it down. And everybody on the glebe, which was sparsely populated, I have to say, that we used to get crowds of like 2,500 maybe. They all went down into the concourse area and stayed dry. And me and a couple of others stayed up because we wanted to watch the football. And I thought to myself, all these guys, I was about 15 at the time, and all these guys are like 50 odd or whatever, 40, 50, and they're doing the same thing every week. And I've no problem with that. I remember you once called me Peterborough's number one fan, and I pulled you up on that. I said, no chance. There's guys who go home, guys and girls go home and away every single week. I cannot possibly claim to be the number one fan. They're way ahead of me. It is my club, but I don't go every week. So they're miles ahead of me. So I just thought to myself, do I want to be like that? Do I want my hopes for happiness to depend on Peterborough United Football Club? And at that moment, when I was thinking that, getting drenched, we scored an equaliser. And you know what the bizarre thing was? Everybody ran back up into the rain thinking they were going to see a replay. Now, I'd seen the goal and they hadn't. I just thought, how futile is that? So at that point, I thought, yep, they're my club. But if I have a job, which funnily enough I got, where I'm working Saturdays, Tuesdays, whatever, then so be it. I'll get to see them when I can. So
Yeah.
I'm a bit more philosophical about it, probably because I don't go every week. So I don't get that weekly dose of frustration. And I take some joy when I do go. I mean, this is a more recent thing. My son used to have a stressometer. Jamie used to have a stressometer when we went to watch Posh together. Oof. And the worst it ever got was the Johnston's Paint shootout semi-final against Swindon.
Tommy Rowe.
Yeah, but the best penalty I've ever seen was Grant McCann's. I mean, that was top bins in a shootout to get to Wembley. It was incredible. And he said the stressometer was off the scale that night. We went to the West Brom home game this season. So we went to Norwich Leicester together. I was working on that one, then drove to Peterborough, just got there in time. And I was okay. I know Sammy created a great chance. We should have scored. And then 93rd minute or whatever, Harrison slips over, they break, and it goes. I mean, their centre-half is in the box for some reason. He scores a goal. And I was okay about it. It wasn't like, I knew that would happen, or having a go at the players, or having a go at Harrison, who's my favourite player, by the way, bar none.
Great kid.
He's terrific. I love him. So I wasn't having a go at anybody. It was just like, okay, well, they've just come out of the Premier League and they're earning fortunes. We've put up a great fight, and that's all I can ask. When we stopped putting up a fight, which I think possibly happened on Saturday, I wasn't at the game, then I think people have got a right to moan. But I am more philosophical about it, and I appreciate as well. I'm not sure all the fans really properly remind themselves of this enough. They know it, but they don't remind themselves. We're an incredibly small club. With small fan base, it's going to be small income in a small football part of the world. And that's not me doing the Posh down. This is my club. It's just the reality.
Of course.
It's going to be hard to get people there for a start. It's going to be hard to get people living there.
And we're in a football recession, Adrian.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. People are expecting me to pull miracles out of a hat. Usually I can wheel and deal. I can bring in 7 figures. I can do. I think there's been £1 million spent in 2 weeks in the Championship. We are in, I've said this in Sky in August, there's a football recession, and it's going to go on for a couple of years. And I think we're in a football recession. So it's really, really difficult to say, sell a big asset, if you wanted to, and then reinvest and do whatever. It's Barry will tell you himself, it's like one of the worst windows he's ever worked in. And that's where we are in the landscape. And again, it's not making excuses. We should be making a better fist of it.
When it comes to expectations, though, this is something that you'll never admit. You'll never say that,
sure,
my expectation or my goal is to finish 4th bottom, because you're wanting to push the players, push the team, the whole culture to be the best that they can be. But from Adrian's perspective, 4th bottom's got to be a goal, so that you can then build on that next year. So, Darry, when you're talking to players next in the summer, they're not saying, oh, you're going to be in for a relegation scrap, because you've kind of jumped that first hurdle.
You're right, but I just felt this year it might be one of the not easiest, weakest championships because of the clubs with all the point deductions and all the issues going on. So I thought, with the momentum and with the age of our players being a year older, I thought they'd make a better fist of it. I thought we'd stand up and be counted. Never did I think we'd lose 10 out of 11 away games. I think those things were going to happen. You know what I mean?
Do you think, Darragh, that when you say we're going to be all right? I remember you saying this in like October time, September.
Sure.
You said it a few times.
Yep.
We're going to be all right. I admire that in some ways,
sure,
but I also know there's fans who will throw that back at you when right now when we're not
Of
okay
course.
and we're still in the bottom three. So was that? It's not misplaced optimism, but were you kind of wrong to direct the fans in that way to make them feel more confident?
No, because I think, look, if people take me verbatim and want to say, well, you promised to win a league and you didn't win a league, and you promised we'd be okay and we weren't okay, that's how I live my life out. If I turn around and say, look, I'm going to be delighted with fourth bottom, I'll hand the club over to my partners. I'm not built that way. I genuinely, hand on heart, on my kids in the summer felt we'd be top 14. I did. And I didn't foresee some of the issues injuries wise in the summer. I didn't foresee, we talk about strikers. Right now we spoke on Saturday. We got 6 strikers in the building. It's like how many, we play with usually one with a second, one behind kind of thing, how many strikers can you have? How much can you stretch a wage bill? You know what I mean? And it's really, really difficult. You can go through, you can go Dembele, Sammy, you can go Jono, you can go Mari, you can go Ricky. Okay, Ricky, you're putting pressure on. He's a kid who hasn't played for 5 months, so he's a bonus or whatever else. Then you got Callum Morton, we just brought in. And people are like, we still want a striker. Okay, I'll give the manager 7 strikers. Do you know what that causes in the dressing room? When you got that many players who can't play. And there's not a line of clubs who want to buy the players or bring them on loan. It's one of them really difficult things. What we need to do is we need a sustained period of 4 or 5 games where we get results. We dig in. We dig in. Doesn't matter if it's 5 draws or if it's 2 wins and 3 draws. You know what I mean? We need to dig in. And what we can't do is what happened on Saturday. We can't wave the flag. You know what I mean? When we concede. And we concede too many late goals, Adrian. And you put that down to other things that can be fixed. We're the worst team for goals after the 75th minute conceded.
We can see bursts of goals as well.
Correct. Oh. That's mental. And that's just basically folding like a cheap fucking suit. The minute like you concede a goal, you concede again. That's on the players. And then, like I said, they've been way below their own standards. And that's not me being overcritical of the players. They have to do better. The manager has to do better. They all have to do better. And Saturday was a real indictment of how poor we've been.
What I would say is that the home form has been quite good before Saturday. The home form was actually quite good, and that has been a consistent thing with us for a couple of years now. So if we can get back to that, we might have a chance of staying up.
Sure.
The fans will all think exactly what you've just been saying with the points deductions for Reading and Derby. Great chance of staying in. But what people forget about Derby in particular is that, there's some amazing things Wayne Rooney's doing, in terms of what's happening with the club.
100%.
However, they've got some terrific players. They've still got them, and they're in the first. Tom Lawrence was a £5 million player.
We knew when we played them, Adrian. We looked at this team when we played them, and we were like, and by the way, their academies produce some good young players, and
they're in the team as well,
and they're in the team. Like our Ronnies are in our team, and our Harrisons in our team. They've got some terrific young players. And listen, him and his number 2 done a phenomenal coaching job. Phenomenal. You're absolutely right, and they've got some big hitters in there. It's not, Derby, the load of £500 a week players. That's a load of nonsense. But I'm not going to take credit away because all the crap that's been dished on them over and over and over, they go out and they fucking fight. They might be getting battered. I think they were battered. Where was it? They were like 0-0. So they nicked the goal in the 90th minute over Christmas. Sometimes you need to dig in where you're just absolutely smashed to pieces and your striker escapes in the 92nd minute and scores a winner. We need a game like that. That's what we need. And do our players have the mental aptitude to dig in for 92 minutes? And instead of making the mistake to give West Brom a winner, we go down and get the winner. Do you know what I mean? And they're those little fine margins. Cardiff 2-0 up, spunk it away, 2 goals in 6 minutes. They're those mental errors that we've kept making where we just keep going again. Russian roulette, first bullet. And we have to get out of our own way. And Saturday, nowhere near good enough. I don't give a fuck if we're playing Real Madrid. Nobody comes in and dicks us like that and scores 4 goals. We should have beaten Fulham at our place. We've hit the post 3 times and missed 3 one-on-ones. Fulham, who are absolutely battering everyone in front of them. And they had to dig in to win 1-0 against us. And then we allow a Coventry team who hasn't won for 6 games to come in and play like Barcelona B. That can't fucking happen. Can't happen. But it happens.
Do you think, I've got a question for you, the players, do you actually think the players like you, this is not a pointed or loaded question at all, but do you think, because you say it as you see it, and I was speaking with Aaron McLean about something completely different yesterday, and I thought to myself, all these ex-players of Posh absolutely love you. They'll say nothing, even privately, they will not say anything negative about you, quite the opposite.
Yeah.
And then I think to myself, if I'm in the team now, am I hating the fact that my chairman's got a podcast where he's not necessarily picking out individuals, but he's down on us, he's having a go at us. I don't know how the players take it. Do they talk to you regularly about it?
No, listen. I know people will go, it's so unprofessional. You can't talk about players, and I've always said this: where people are like, your players must hate you. Talk to your Tomlins, your Boyds, your McLeans. Talk to Dwight Gale. Talk to any of these people who I helped play a part in their career, and not only that, I've helped them afterwards. You ask any of those players how much time I've given them when they finished playing football. Aaron, I love to bits. He's like a little brother to me. When I met with him and spoke to him about his coaching, and when Darren, let him go, and I said to him, "You got to be in the media. You got to be in the media. Now's your chance. Now's your chance to get in the media. How do we get you in the media? What can I do to help get you in the media?" And he's done a phenomenal job digging out that career for himself because he needs a second coming, so to speak. You know what I mean? A lot of these boys didn't make millions, so they need a career. And he's got a beautiful girlfriend, a young baby, and I care about these players. George Boyd, and I speak to them. So my players might listen to the podcast and they mightn't like some of the things, but they can't argue with what I'm saying. And they can't turn around and look in the mirror and go, "Is the chairman wrong? Is everything I've just said about the Coventry game, is there anything there that I've said is incorrect?" Absolutely not. And I'll tell them tomorrow night when I see them. But I won't be, "You fucking asshole, blah, blah, blah." I'll say, lads, like, show some fucking belief. Forget about if the fans are a little bit quiet at home. Forget about that. And that's not a dig at the fans. Give them something to fucking cheer about. Give them, fucking put a tackle in. You know what I mean? Fucking smash a goalkeeper to bits with 20 shots. Make him look like Gordon Banks. Have one of them games. Give our fans something to cheer about. Don't fucking go under with 15 minutes to go. And so what if somebody scores another goal and you're 3-1 down with 15 minutes to go? What, you can't score 3 goals in 10 minutes? Fucking get on with it. Do you know what I mean? But don't look like you're beaten. And one thing you will never get out of me is quit. I'll get slaughtered Saturday and Sunday. I'm getting slaughtered social media. My missus is in Nashville with my daughter at a volleyball tournament. My dad's looking after the kids because I have to be here working. You know what I mean? And I'm doing that for free. Yes, I own the club, but I do it because I care. And it's like, I'm getting the things about the pies thrown at me, gone off beer, fucking clubs having a wobble, fucking recruitment, the process is down. Alan Swan's retweeting all this shit from people. I'm a human being, but at the end of the day, there's no quitting me. I am the guy. If there's a fucking row in an alleyway outside a bar, you want me there. You know what I mean? And when I look behind, I'd like to know that all my players are with me there. And a few of them at the moment are probably running out the exit door. Do you know what I mean? Instead. And they have to look at themselves for that. So, again, no quitting me. And the challenge to the players, to the management staff is they're quitting you. Because if I've got to go back to that fucking league again after spending so many fucking years in it, you know what I mean? I'm going to bleed going back. And I'll tell you right now, I'll make sure they will as well.
What I would say is it's better than League Two. On which point, Bradford won the weekend, didn't they?
They did. It was the only time I smiled on Saturday night when I saw the result. It was the only time. It was the only time I was like, "Phil will be in good place." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
How you feeling? How you feeling over there? Are you okay?
I'm happy with the 3 points. It's been a long time coming. We've struggled. I think that Darren and I talk on the pod a lot about you have no divine right to win just because of how big a club you are. You are where you deserve to be. But I think it's fair to say we all had some much higher expectations going into this season than what we've been doing so far. And, like every year, you then come to rely on the transfer window in January to hope that you can turn things around a little bit. We signed a player who's an ex-Posh loanee called Jamie Walker from Hearts last week. And he really, did the business. He looked head and shoulders above any other player on the pitch on Saturday. So he made the difference. So long may that continue.
Well, you've got to rely on those January business. We've had Ballymumbas come in, did the business straight away, and maybe a bit of a rude awakening Saturday, a different level. But maybe he'll slot in and get used to it. But I mean, I was at Newcastle Watford at the weekend, and the expectation there is phenomenal. But I think thinking about the Premier League, I mean, Manchester City are being criticised because or maybe they're not. Premier League, people are thinking they're going to be worried because Man City is so far ahead and it's the middle of January, they've won it already. And I just can't look at it like that. I mean, I look at it, Man City are the very best. They play the great football. Why, if you're a football lover, why aren't you just sitting there enjoying what they're doing? Yeah, it's a COVID hit season. People are affected differently, but everybody's pretty much affected by it. You've got managers trying to work out how to cancel games. Can we get this one off? Can we get that one off?
Yeah.
And there's Man City
playing every game. Playing every game, Man City during Christmas. And not only playing every game, fucking winning every game. They're winning the title at Christmas all the work that's going on now, while everyone else is fucking stressed about the African Nations Cup and COVID and all those distractions, what are Man City doing? Winning, winning, winning. And guess what else they're doing? You said it a while ago about me not signing a striker. They're doing it without a fucking striker. Winning, winning, winning. Without a fucking striker. I mean, that's the greatest manager the game's seen for a long time in what he's doing. And credit to him, his staff. And it's not only that. I've said this before, Abe, and you know this in media. When you get to the top of the mountain, it's not about the journey getting there. That can be tough. But it's actually tough for staying at the top of the fucking mountain. They're just doing it again and again and again. I'm a Liverpool fan. Fucking Fenway like left Klopp under the bus, do you know what I mean, with the lack of support. Because if they gave him the tools, fucking hell, we're pissing this the greatest opportunity ever to win more titles, and they're not giving him the tools. Jurgen Klopp, fucking unbelievable what he does. But I have to say, Man City, I love watching them play. I fucking enjoy watching. It's always a pleasure, and it's just non-stop.
I think that when we look back on this period, and I don't think Klopp's got long left at Liverpool for various reasons. I don't think he's going to be sacked, by the way. I think he'll have had enough. But when we look back on it, we will wonder how Liverpool won that title, how close they came the season before, how they won the Champions League in this era of Pep and Man City's dominance. I think we will salute Klopp for what he did. But I think just go back to another point of it, why people have got a downer on Man City. It's because they've stopped enjoying football. They can't acknowledge and just soak up the joy of football. Now, Posh fans, if you're losing 4-1 at home, it's very hard to spot the joy of football. I totally get that. But sometimes you've just got to enjoy what's in front of you because it is still a beautiful game. Maybe it's because I'm getting old. I don't know. But I just, and this season, as you know, my job has changed. I'm out at more games. By the end of this week, I think I'll have been to, working as a fan, 70 games.
Why did you do that? You ran an amazing show. So what was for you getting out of studio and getting to games? You obviously made that happen yourself because there's no way they would have asked you to leave the studio. So why did you want to do that?
Well, what happened was the boss came to me. We have a very good relationship. We worked at the Mail together years ago. And he came to me and said, listen, I don't know what you want to do, but we love what you do on a Saturday. So we actually want more of that, but I don't know how to do it. So he said, do you enjoy it? I said, yeah, Saturdays is what I live for. It's fantastic. And that's going to a game. For those that don't know, I go to a game and I give out all the scores. We go around the grounds. I've got reporters everywhere. I've been doing it for 20 plus years. I absolutely love it. Now, if every day was Saturday and that was happening every day, which it probably will be between now and the end of the season, then that's me sorted completely. Or if I could afford just to work on a Saturday and pay all my bills, then I'd just do that. So he said to me, we want more of that. Don't quite know how to do it, but sit down, think about your working week, tell me what you want to do. So I said, well, why don't we do Saturdays on a Tuesday and Wednesday? If there's not enough games, then I'll take the day off. But if there's loads of games Tuesday with Champions League nights, Championship, you got Premier League midweeks, there's going to be a lot of them. As it's worked out this season, there's going to be a lot of it. And it's absolutely worked. Now, he wanted to keep me on drive Monday, which is why I'm in work today, about to do the show. So I've still got a bit of drive going on. But, the round the grounds football, live football as well. I'm the England man as well. I got to a point, mid-COVID, I thought, I actually want to get out and about to more football. And that's really what swung it. So when he said that to me, we had a very good chat, very positive chat. I thought, what do I want to do? I want to go to more football. In return, I want another day off, which I've got as well. Thursday's off. So for me, it's worked out perfect. And if I can do this up until, I don't think I'll ever retire. I think I'm a bit like you. I'll never retire. They'll have to retire me off. You've gone. It's not Peterborough at the top of the table. Stop saying it. So I just love it. I love going to games, and I've really thrived on it. And my missus, she was the key actually, right? Because she picks me up from the train station every day, and she said to me after I was doing drive Monday to Thursday, I was doing it, and she'd pick me up, and I'd be moaning and frustrated and this and that and that about various things. And Saturdays I'd be at a game, and I'd get home at say 8 or 9 o'clock. And I was ecstatic, and I was buzzing from the day. Yeah. And one day she just said to me, you do realise on Saturdays you're happy and weekdays you're frustrated. And that was it. That was decision made. Brilliant. So, and it has worked out. I'm still buzzing. Yeah, there's some late nights. I mean, I'm at Brighton tomorrow, Brentford Wednesday, Arsenal Thursday, Man United Saturday. I mean, but what a life. I mean,
Do you get to spend the mornings then with your missus? Before you go
yeah.
to those games at night. So
And she
basically,
works.
like,
She
yeah,
works from home as well. So I
perfect,
mean, yeah, we are
perfect.
together then.
Yeah,
Always, well, usually have Sundays off as well. So in terms of that classic work-life balance thing, it's absolutely worked a treat. It's been
spot
fantastic.
on.
I mean, Thursdays it's me and the dog down the pub for lunch, which that's a bit of me. So
Lovely.
it has worked out fantastically well. So long may it continue. If I'm keeping going to football, then
Was this always your ambition, Aid? Was this it
yeah.
for you when you were younger? This was the ambition. Did you ever
Well,
want to get in TV, or was it always radio and
well, radio was basically I knew I wasn't a very good footballer. Okay, so I was way worse than my brother. My brother's older than me. I was way worse at football than he was, and he had no chance of making it. So
yeah?
I wasn't one of those who thought, "Oh, I'm going to have trials here. I'll make it as a footballer," and was disappointed. I knew I was crap. I mean, luckily, I don't think you've seen me play. I played at London Road before,
Oh,
and
fair enough.
I have. Yeah, and I'm glad I played there, but I don't belong there at all. On the pitch. So at a very early age, I'm talking about the age of 4 or 5 here, I knew I wasn't going to be a player. And I thought, well, I love football. So what am I going to do? So I listened to the radio a lot back then. And it was mainly the radio in Peterborough. The local radio just started up and they were doing football. And it was great. And I loved it. And I thought, I really want to go and do that. But I always thought that it happened to other people. For a long, long time, even into my late teens, early 20s, I thought, this will never be my career. I can't make that happen. This happens to other people. So there were people. I was doing freelance stuff, doing games here and there. I went to uni in Hull, did some games. I worked at the Pulse in Bradford as well, and in Middlesbrough, TFM, loads of different radio stations. But I never thought I could make a career out of it until one sports editor said to me, I was going to be a town planner. And he said to me, what the hell are you doing that for? And I said, well, I think I enjoy it. There's some good money in it. He said, no, you belong here doing sport. So it went from there. I thought I'll give it a go. It's the least I could do. If it doesn't work out, I'll go back to the original plan. And I think it worked out. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you've had a pretty good fucking career. Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, you probably need more security than me with some of the fans you've pissed off over the years. So recently, I think Leicester fans are out for your blood, aren't they? Give us the juice about the whole, what happens like Arsenal. You had your daily Arsenal, you go after whatever. And now you got Leicester fans baying for your blood. You have to have thick skin. Like I can take criticism and shit. Like I say to my kids, don't ever read Google. If you read Google, you think, Jesus Christ, Dad's a serial killer. I said, you have to have a thick skin when you're successful. And I said, my dad always taught me early on, until you get sued, you're nobody. When you've been sued a few times, you're somebody. And things bounce off me. Sometimes they get to me, but most of the time they bounce. But you have got the thickest fucking skin I've ever seen in my life. With the amount of abuse you can get.
I've had to work hard to cultivate that thick skin. I've got to tell you, I don't mind telling you at all. But in terms of official complaints, there's always loads, but I'm very proud of the fact none have ever been upheld against me. I think I love that. But I think it all kind of descended when Twitter really started. And that's when people could directly get to you. I mean, not many would text in or whatever, but it's a bombardment. And I'll be honest with you, I had to have some therapy to deal with it quite early on.
Toxic. It's toxic.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about maybe 2013, something like that, around that time.
Jesus.
I had to have some therapy to deal with it. And it worked for me. That made me stronger with it. I know how to deal with it now. Sometimes somebody will put something, like a Leicester fan messaged me last week, and I can swear on this, right?
Yeah, go for it.
Fucking right you can.
Well, he said, he tweeted saying, I want to fuck your mum.
Oh, fuck off.
I know. But my mum's been dead 8 years. And the whole concept of it in my head was like, what? That's the shock of that. Now, it's ridiculous. And I think it's more on him than me, obviously. But, I can deal with that now. Back then, I couldn't deal with it. But I don't mind telling you, Darren, that the worst it got was when we fell out.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, no, it wasn't you at all. I don't think you would have seen it. There were one or two Posh fans who really went for it. And because they think they know me and my background and family and all that. I don't live in Peterborough anymore. I haven't done for 20 odd years. But they were like, oh, we'll find out some dirt on you. They were tweeting this openly to me.
I'm
And I
sorry
felt
about
like,
that.
no,
Fucking
it's not
hell.
your fault. I mean, you and I had a disagreement, and these things happen. It's when others weighed in, and what they were trying to do was impress you. At the same, and they didn't give a shit about how I felt about it. And that was a bad moment, I have to say. On the flip side of that, when I got this was all repaired between you and me when you emailed me out of the blue and suddenly said, let's forget it all, move on, fantastic. And it was it really made me smile. It was a lovely, lovely moment because I don't know, you were so angry. I didn't think it was ever going to happen. So I was really
Shocker!
pleased with it.
Shocker!
It was
Yeah,
like,
but
it wasn't my fault we sold Conor Washington, for
le-
Christ's sake.
hey, listen. We all look at times in life. I'm one of those. I don't hold a grudge, Adrian. You know, I'll have a row with anyone, and I can. I've had a row with a gaffer. It's got physical over the years. Do you know what I mean? And fucking whatever. And we'll scream, we'll rant, and I've had a rows with people. But the one thing I'm not one of those people who holds grudges. I don't want the worst for people. Even if I've fallen out with someone, I don't enjoy seeing someone not doing well. I'm not that guy. So people can call me a lot of things, and Phil, before he ever met me, probably thought a lot of things about what he read. But that's not who I am. You know, at the end of the day, yes, I'm passionate. Yes, I'm a big mouth at times. Yes, I can be on my own worst enemy. But I know my weaknesses. But I don't ever want to see anyone get fucking abused on Twitter. It doesn't affect me. It affects my wife more than me. My wife reads the stuff that's put on Twitter, and they don't understand that. I've got 3 young children, and I miss 3 months of the year of their lives with the time I put into the Posh in the summer and January, the 2 windows. And I'm not looking for a fucking violin, but they're my kids, they're my wife, and I miss key moments in their lives. Do you know what I mean? Like my son did his driving test the other day, wasn't there for that. My daughter's volleyball tournament, never there for that. You know, exams. You miss key moments. You're a family man, Age. You've got, I think, son and a daughter, right? And
Yep.
when you miss those key moments, and then you're getting some little prick behind the computer wanking off the Pornhub every night, who decides to go, "Oh, you're fucking useless at your job. Oh, fuck D-Mac and fuck Adrian Durham." And you think to yourself, "My God Almighty, these people." You know, and listen, I've wanted to take names and addresses, trust me, and have them visited, but I've had to stop myself going down that route. But that's the toxicity of social media, and I tell my children, buyer beware, buyer
Yeah,
be
no,
fucking aware.
I'm with you on that. It is. I think there's no way I could have stopped what was going on. I can't stop Twitter. I can't have a one man crusade. So I had to learn how to deal with it. And as I told you with the Leicester fan last week, it's still happening. However, it is just one person on Twitter, and I actually feel quite sorry for them. I've got a private Instagram account, as you know, and I only allow people to follow me if I want them to follow me. Now, that might seem a bit weird and a bit odd to some people,
But
but
that's yours.
I'm
That's yours.
I'm very
That's
comfortable
yours.
with it.
It's
I
like
don't
your
want
safe space.
outside noise.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's yours.
exactly. Yeah, but I feel like I want to share, photos of the dogs or my kids or football with
Yeah,
these people.
and you
So
should be
because I
able
like
to.
these people. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
I don't need some idiot, messaging me on Instagram saying you're a
I'll give you
cock
an
or
example.
whatever.
My wife put up a thing on Saturday night. Fucking of all the times to do it. My son had passed his test. He's 16, and and that's a lot for a 16-year-old to go and pass their actual proper test.
Mm.
And she put up a fucking post on Facebook, and of course I stupidly shared it. And the first comment down below, fire Darren Ferguson. And I felt like saying to the fan, get the fuck off my wife's Facebook page, you stupid fucking prick. Like, I'm going to have your legs broken. Get the fuck off her Facebook page now. Because I don't give a fuck about Peterborough in this one moment. This is my son's passed his test. My wife's enjoying the moment. I wasn't there. And now you want to take over that moment and talk about the fucking game on Saturday. Fuck off. Do you know what I mean? And it is. Social media can be so fucking toxic. It like, oh my God.
But what we've got to remember is, and I always take this with me as well, that we are talking about football and particularly in what I'm doing, I'm working with Andy Townsend today. We'll be talking about Man United. We'll be talking about Rafa. We'll be talking about
Yeah.
this, that, and the other. Football is tribal. And
Of
they
course
all,
it is.
I must have called out 10 to 12 clubs about postponing games over Christmas.
You've been consistent. You've been
all of
consistent
those
with all the
fans
clubs.
thought
With all
I
the
was
clubs.
picking on their clubs.
Yeah.
Burnley thought I was picking on them. Why would I pick on Burnley, for Christ's sake? Arsenal obviously thought I was picking on them. Leicester thought I was picking on them.
Yeah.
It's just,
You were
somebody tweeted
consistent.
me saying, "Oh, you're picking on Leicester because we battered you in the cup a few years ago."
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm picking on clubs because they've beaten us, I'm picking on everyone.
Everyone.
Apart from Brentford.
They
Yeah.
fucking do. They do.
Like if anyone had questions, there's things going back 10 years plus. Well, Adrian said this in a show 10 years ago, and we've never forgot it.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't hate any football clubs. I've had stick with Huddersfield fans. I've had stick with Wickham fans. Through no fault of my own. I've had stick, through time. I was the most vocal person about we should play football during COVID. I'd done my research. I'd spoke to a lot of doctors at the time, respiratory doctors, and I was like, this is madness. No footballer is going to die of COVID. Why are we shutting down our leagues? And I was a real strong proponent. They made me the poster boy, and a lot of the other owners were happy for me to be that guy and get shot down and fucking hammered. And that was a really dark period, you know what I mean, with what was going on. And I've always said, it's never been about me hating Huddersfield or hating Wickham or hating whatever else. Clubs go through different owners. You can't hate any one club. Now, as a Bradford fan, you have a rivalry with Leeds, or you have a rivalry, whatever. But hate's a strong fucking word. Do you know what I mean? Anger's a word. Hate.
It comes with maturity, though, as well. I think,
Yeah.
I was thinking about this last week after we interviewed Steve Evans, when you don't know the people behind the names, behind the personas, that tribalism does drive hate. And I think that as there's a time when you're in your teens or your early 20s or whatever, and football is the only thing that you have in your world. And perhaps that's the period of time when there truly is that, you're looking at me against the world and me being my club versus everybody else. And then you mature through that. And, 90% of the population mature through that. And perhaps there's this 10% who never truly do. And that's what drives a lot of the hate. And as you said, Adrian, before, you got to feel sorry for those people almost, because, that's their life is still determined by the need to show that hate to people that they don't know, because they feel it's a power trip, as opposed to, the vast majority of population kind of grow out of it. And it becomes less about hate and more like, do I like Leeds? No. Do I want them to be successful? No. Do I hate them? Don't hate them. Bradford fans are going to come and come down on me like a ton of bricks on that.
Why don't you hate Leeds?
20 years ago, you might have asked me that question. I might have had a different answer.
The funny thing you mentioned Leeds there, and I remember when they were in League One with us, and we beat them 2-0. Yeah, I remember that.
2-0.
Now, that was pre-Twitter, I think. It was just pre-Twitter. So on air, on the radio, I'd said, we've got Leeds, I really fancy us to do them. And the Leeds fans went for me just by text. So all these texts and emails are coming in. Okay, they're really going for me. So I get back on air on the Monday for the drive show, 4:00. And my first line was, I missed the results at the weekend. Anybody know the Leeds score? Anyway, and it went crazy. And ever since then, all Leeds fans have thought I hated Leeds. So I moved house. My next door neighbour, a big Leeds fan, when he found out who I was, he said, "Why do you hate Leeds?" I don't hate Leeds. And actually, the reality is, and I've always said it, if Posh folded tomorrow, I'd probably be a Leeds fan. I used to live and work there. I loved the place.
Great
fantastic
club.
Place. Yeah. So, it's a very strange thing. You're right. Hate is not an appropriate word. And on Steve Evans, it was a great listen last week. And I actually almost felt sorry for him, because he said, he'd lost his job. I don't think there was a lot else he could do at Gillingham, given everything.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
We'll
That's
see
why
what
I got him
happens
on.
to him.
That's why I got the gaff on. I spoke to him on Sunday night when I found out he'd been sacked. Barry rang me. And again, people will say about managers. I speak to all, the amount of ex-managers I've got jobs, because that's my job. Within the industry, if you fire someone, it's not the end of a relationship. So you try and do your best and get them jobs. And I spoke to Steve on Sunday. And I said, Gaff, I still call him Gaffer. I said, do you want to come on a podcast? A lot of fans of Bradford in particular probably see you a certain way. Let's get your perception out there. You're going to be on the job market in a few months. You get your side of the ground. He was like, yes, please. And I was like, great, let's get you on. And Steve's a good guy. What you see on the sideline is not Steve Evans. It's Jekyll and Hyde.
I'll go way back. So when I started working in radio in the 90s, and my first radio job was in Peterborough at the local radio station. So I'd been working in Leeds before then, doing something slightly different, and then got a job at the radio station. Steve Evans was manager of Holbeach United, a local team. I think it was Holbeach, and he rang up the station, said, "Who's in charge of sport?" I wasn't, but I said I was, and he said, "Come down and do an interview with me." So I went to a game, got a lift with some of the players who lived in Peterborough. Went to a game, and he said, "Be in the dressing room at half time. You'll want this. Turn your tape recorder on." And from that moment, we knew each other from then. And listen, we've never been like best buddies going for beers and all that sort of stuff, but there's been a professional respect, absolutely right. But at that moment, I think he was selling white goods, kitchen white goods and stuff. I think it was his job, and doing management part time. But I could see then his ambition was so huge. And that's the side that people don't see. They don't realise that, yes, he's got his flaws, haven't we all?
Of
But
course.
this is a guy whose football career was cut short by injury, but
Yeah.
really wanted to do something in football and stay in football, and he made it happen for himself.
He's a
So
serial
why
promotion
wouldn't
winner.
people learn lessons from that?
Absolutely. I mean, people like make jokes about Steve Evans. The guy's won like 9, 10 promotions. You're not a joke when you've won 9, 10 promotions. Paul Rayner the same. These guys know their shit. All right, they're not Pep Guardiola and fucking Mikel Arteta, to the human eye. But let me tell you, put Pep and whatever else in charge of Boston and let's see how he does.
Mm.
The point is, managers sometimes possess perception and then what's behind them. And that kills me sometimes. Like Graham Wesley, I always liked. And I was emailing with Medals last week. We're going to have like lunch next week and whatever else, I guess I call him. And I've always had a great relationship with him. Now, if Medals got out of his own way, he would have managed in the championship. Sometimes that can be on him too. Do you know what I mean? And I've said that to him. I can be, I've given him my criticism that if you got out of your own way, you'd have been a manager in the championship. Do you know what I mean? Unfortunately, he couldn't at times, and that's probably the ego side of Medals. You know what I mean? Which got in the way a little bit. So. But again, a great guy. Really enjoy his company. If I was to go out for dinner, love to go out for dinner with him. Probably me, you, and the three of us would have good fun if we went out for dinner. And again, it's that perception from the outside. Fucking no, it's Graham Wesley. You don't want him at your football club. Steve Evans, you don't want him at your football club. Like they're poison or something. And they're not poison. Do you know what I mean? They're good guys. They're honest. Doesn't always work for them. But trust me, it's not what you think.
Yeah, no, you're right. And with Medals, with Graham Wesley, we fell out big time years and years ago when he was at Farnborough. They drew Arsenal in the cup.
I remember.
And he switched it to Highbury. And
and he took his dough out, didn't he? He took his dough out.
So on the radio, I was fuming about it, saying this shouldn't be allowed to happen. He rang up and came on air, angry about it. Yeah, he did a Carragher. Yeah, he was angry about it. And then privately, he contacted me, and we've been in touch ever since. And it's like, again, it's another one where, I wouldn't say he's my best friend in the world, but it's in this business. I think I've tried not to make too many close friends because I think it does compromise your position sometimes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
I see a lot of people in my industry talking about, he's a really good bloke, or he's a good friend of mine, or whatever. And I can't be having that. That's not the right way to go about it. Sometimes, there will be people who you just click with, and you do become friends with them, and that's the way it is.
Of course.
And you wouldn't want to lose friends because of that. So you just take that on board and have that situation. But I don't think I've endeavoured. You and I think I've had lunch once years ago, but I don't want to forge a really close relationship with you to the point where I become your spokesman. Same with Darren. Darren and I we fell out for a little while when I criticised one of his substitutions. Wow, he didn't speak to me for about a year.
That's a manager. What they're like.
Hey, we're 1-0 up against Millwall. He takes Paul Taylor off and we lose 2-1. What was I meant to do?
I remember. Hey, what do you think I say to him at times? You know what I mean? Like fucking, it's like seriously.
But I do want to keep that sort of healthy distance, but I'd like to think I haven't got too many enemies, I don't think.
No, and nor should you. And none of us should have enemies. And if there are people out there who actually want to do you harm, because that's what an enemy is. Do you know what I mean? It's someone who wants to do you harm. Well, fuck me. That's on them. That's not on you. And at the end of the day, I said to you at the start of the podcast, come for me, criticize me. Do you know what I mean? Do it in the right way. Not a problem at all. And Alan Swan I have a lot of respect for, and I've no problem. It's when he retweets some of the smart comments that other people have made about me, and you just go, geez, it's like a kick in the bollocks right at that time. You know what I mean? And that sometimes gets to me. But listen, that's his prerogative. He can do that. Yeah. That's fine. That's fine.
I really, really like Alan. I have a lot of respect.
As do I.
We've known each other for a long, long time. But what you got to remember is Alan Swan's been covering Posh for 30 years.
Before I was born.
That's gonna have an impact on anyone. Of course. He's been watching them home and away. It's going to have an impact on anyone. I'm surprised he looks as young as he looks, to be honest.
Yeah, to be fair, and I like him. Do you know what I mean? And in a dry way, he's a funny guy and he's an easy guy to get on with, And I've never ever told him what to write or what not to write, whatever. And I could easily email him and go, "You fucking asshole." You just leave it, you know what I mean? And it's like, look, it is what it is. It's not a good time at the moment to be a Posh owner, to be a Posh player, to be a Posh fan. It's just the way it is. That's football. And we have to actually dig ourselves out of that. Can't feel sorry for ourselves. We just got to sort it out ourselves, But I do remember, if you give me this time last year, I would have taken this. Yeah. You come back to this time 12 months ago and said, D, in a year's time, You'll have been battered by Coventry. You had 3 points from safety. The world's against you, but you're a championship fucking club. What do you want to do? I'd have gone, fucking give it to me. Put it in my veins, I'm in. Do you know what I mean? I would have been all in. Do you know what I mean, at the time? So I'll say that to my players as well. You know, at the end of the day, is there anywhere else you want to be? Because this is it. This is like the big time. Do you know what I mean? So that's it. Look, we're not going to keep you longer because I know you got work out. So we've kept you for an hour. And I just want to say for me, love you to bits. Much appreciated you coming on today. You know what I mean? It means a lot. And, you know, our little podcast, you know, having some of the big media celebs on to help nudge the viewership up.
I'll give you their numbers.
Yeah, very good.
I'll take some presenting tips at the same time.
Exactly, yeah, fucking right. Both of us can do it. And just want to, you know, wish you the best. But hopefully we'll see each other before the end of the season.
That's very kind. I'd just like to finish by saying it has been an honour to be on this. And those players, by the way, tell them they all could be heroes by May. That's their big opportunity.
Massively.
But all Posh fans, I know a lot of Posh fans listen to this, try to just keep hold of that sense of the joy of football, because I've rediscovered it in the last few years, and it is fantastic. Those moments, all right, there's not been enough of them this season, but the last-minute winner against Derby, you know, those moments, just enjoy football because it's such a beautiful game. Even Bradford fans, Phil, I think you can,
it's the hope that kills you.
Hold on to Saturday's win for as long as you can.
Listen, Phil, take us out. Hey,
listen, thanks to both.
Right there. Hey, thanks, I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Adrian.